doing it, making everybody question whether deja vu can really be true. Power of the people. The New York Mets are making believers fast. There's hardly any question that they're in the race to stay. Power of the hour. Atlanta's sizzling center fielder takes them downtown, but the question is, can he keep it up? So stay tuned, y'all, for a power call on This Week in Baseball. National League picture. The New York Mets send a strong message. On cloud nine, after 2 straight wins to start the season, Met fans were sky high when Cincinnati came to town, and some masterful Met defense helped sweep the Reds down. Man alive, what a dive! Player-manager Pete Rose turned 44 in New York, but the Mets made it an unhappy birthday. Bruce Perenne tossed a pitching party, blanking his former team for 7 innings, picked up his first win. Bruce is loose these days with a new attitude and a fresh determination on the mound.
Over in Cincinnati, I got in a bad rut, like everybody did, to worry about, what I did, what I can do for myself, and that's not the way you win. If I pitch well, I feel like I'm going to win 15 to 20 games, but I'm not really setting a goal in that direction. I'm just trying to contribute.
Also contributing was rookie reliever Roger McDowell, who collected 2 wins in his first 2 big league appearances. 20-year-old Dwight Gooden shut out the Reds with 10 strikeouts, the 16th time that the good Dr. K has struck out at least 10 in one game. Another reason for New York's promising start is a powerful hitting attack that is fast becoming the team signature. Example, Darryl Strawberry batting in the bottom of the 9th, score tied. Going, it is gone. It's a winner. A hero's welcome has also been greeting new Met catcher Gary Carter, who greeted Cincinnati with his 2nd game-winning homer of the season. And in the finale, Carter clobbered his 3rd home run to beat the Reds yet again. Dramatics like that might set Met fans on a brand new Carter for President campaign. On to Atlanta, where the fired-up Braves put out the Padre Flames. Getting a grip on things in the West, Atlanta lost the series opener, then got San Diego's goose in Game 2. Relief ace Bruce Sutter came on to subdue last year's National League pennant winners and pick up his first win. The Braves also benefited from a clout in the clutch when 3rd baseman Bob Horner batted in the bottom of the 9th with Atlanta down by 3, and there goes a long drive. It's Horner's first homer since last May, keying a 3-run 9th that put the game into extra innings and set the stage for Brave matinee idol Dale Murphy, who came up in the 10th, score tied at 5-all. And there it goes, a 2-run blast for Murph and a 7-5 Atlanta victory. Next day, the Braves again looked to Mighty Murph, who homered for the 4th time in as many games. And 2 nights later, he added number 5. Atlanta's pitching line was mighty fine, thanks to Rick Mahler, who held San Diego to 1 run over 8 1/3 innings. Mahler got plenty of help from Glenn Hubbard, who tied a Major League record with 12 assists in 1 game. But no Brave has been a bigger crowd pleaser than the redoubtable Mr. Sutter, who kept his ERA at a perfect 0.00 as he got his 2nd save. Sutter could be just what Atlanta needs to challenge the Padres and rise again in the West. Now, let's open the notebook for This Week in Baseball's Twib Notes from around the National League. Houston rookie Ron Mathis gave new meaning to the phrase 3 up, 3 down. After giving up 2 straight hits to start the game, he picked off one Philly at second, and 1 pitch later, he went to first and picked off the other. That's 2 up, 2 on, and 2 off. Bon Hayes then walked but was thrown out trying to steal. That's the first time in memory the first 3 batters reached safely and were all wiped off the bases. Rick Sutcliffe won his 2nd straight game this year to raise his regular season win streak to 16, including a spotless 11-0 at Wrigley Field. The win made last year's Cy Young winner 18-1 since becoming a Cub last June. San Diego's Steve Garvey ended his major league record of 193 straight games without an error at first base. It happened against San Francisco in San Diego's home opener, which the Padres won 8-3. At the Dodger season opener in Houston, Los Angeles started 2 rookies, second baseman Mariano Duncan and first baseman Sid Bream. With opening day usually reserved for the veterans, this was a rare occurrence. In fact, the last time the Dodgers started 2 rookies on an opening day was in 1970. And for this week's quiz, can you name them? Stay tuned for 2 players who are still active, although neither is with LA. American League scene. In Seattle, it's a first-place beauty. Seattle was sitting pretty after a 6-0 start, and Mariner fans liked what they saw, especially when Oakland was swept away by an offensive tidal wave inside the Kingdome. In one game alone, the Mariners blasted 7 home runs, 3 by Stormin' Gorman Thomas, including a grand slam. Mariner power was still surging when Minnesota came calling. In Game 1, Jim Presley fell into the Kingdome syndrome and hit his 3rd home run in as many games. While Presley was socking them at the plate, Matt Young was rocking them on the mound. 7 strikeouts in 8 2/3 innings for his first win this year. 21-year-old Eddie Nunez came on to collect his 3rd save, giving the Mariners reason to feel he'll be the much-needed bullpen stopper. The next night, Seattle was in trouble, down 7-4 in the bottom of the 9th. But just when sleep seemed the only cure, Phil Bradley came up with another when he stepped to the plate with 2 out and the bases loaded.
Belted deep to left field. Back is Hatcher. It is grand salami time. The Mariners win it 8-7. I don't believe it. My, oh my.
Hey, make way for Mariner mayhem. More good news was made by Mike Moore in the finale as he improved his record to 2-0. That gave the Mariners a super start with 2 straight sweeps before losing their first game. Next stop, Kansas City, where the Tigers kept on growling. Royal hopes were on high when Detroit dropped in for 2 games, but Kansas City could not contain the Tiger charge. In the opener, Jack Morris gave up a first-inning run, but then shut the door and allowed no more. Kansas City starter Bud Black also turned in a Royal command performance, shutting out Detroit for 7 innings. But with KC up 1-0, the hungry Tigers went on the hunt in the 8th. Tom Brookins came to bat with a man on, and he promptly doubled to tie the game. With Brookins aboard, the Royals intentionally walked 2 batters, but that move backfired when Larry Herndon unintentionally walked, putting Detroit up 2-1 and making Bud Black blue. Morris needed no more as he went the distance, allowing just 5 hits to collect his second win. The next day, more signs of Tiger power, as catcher Lance Parrish laid to rest any hopes of a Royal resurgence with a 3-run homer. Dan Petrie got the win as Detroit continued its hex on Kansas City with win number 11 in a row at Royal Stadium. Man, those Tigers really know how to start a season, winning their first 9 games in '84 and their first 6 games this year. On to Texas, where Milwaukee held a Southern-style barbecue. A gloomy Ranger crew could not undo this bubbly brew, 'cause Bob Gibson's daring do put Texas in a stew. Woo! Gibson was poetry in motion with back-to-back wins in relief. Cecil Cooper contributed 4 hits as the reviving Brewers rolled over the Rangers with 17 runs and 22 hits in the first 2 games. Raleigh Fingers was back on hand to grab his first save of '85, a welcome relief for the all-time save leader who missed the second half of last season due to injury. The brouhaha continued in Game 3 when Paul Molitor, another renewed Brewer, stayed back in the swing after missing most of '84 with an elbow injury. Good golly, Mr. Molly went 4 for 4, giving him 11 hits in his first 5 games. New Brewer Paul Householder started making his name a household word in Milwaukee by hitting his first home run of the season. That blast was more than enough for Moose Haas, who went the distance as Milwaukee breezed to an 8-1 win and a sweep of the Rangers. You know, the Brew Crew just might be good as new. Now, let's review this week in baseball's TWIV notes from around the American League. It was a singularly unusual day at Toronto's home opener against the Texas Rangers. It all started when catcher Don Slaught batted with a man on in the 4th and tripled home a run. In all, the Rangers scored 9 runs. What's so unusual about that? Well, take a look. Each man in the Rangers starting lineup drove in a run. 9 starters, 9 RBIs, which all goes to prove that each hit at the right time drives in 9, well, you know what I mean, something like that. Oakland's Mike Davis has earned all A's so far this season. How about this for a 9-game report card? 4 homers, 14 RBIs, and a .360 average. Go to the head of the class, Mike. Mickey Mantle brought back some glorious memories when he and Roger Maris returned to Yankee Stadium for opening day first ball honors before a crowd of more than 53,000. Known as the M&M Boys when New York won 5 straight pennants in the early 60s, they were together again in a most familiar setting, and the Yankees beat Chicago 5-4. Set up the answer to this week's Nissan quiz. Steve Garvey was a 21-year-old third baseman and Bill Buckner a mere 20-year-old left fielder when they broke into the Dodgers starting lineup as rookies on opening day 1970. After 6 seasons with Los Angeles, Billy Buck was traded to the Cubs and he now plays for Boston. Garvey's standout career with the Dodgers ended in 1983 when he signed as a free agent with San Diego. Fans, quiet on the set. This is take 1. Lights, camera, action. Presenting Major League Outtakes, choice words that never made the final cut.
Test, 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 test. Are we ready?
Am I supposed to be looking at the camera?
Let's go. I got to get going here. We're gonna have trouble getting this over with.
This week in baseball, the tape is rolling.
Don't go away.
I've liked him from the first moment I met him, and I think he can do the job for us, and we sure as hell need it.
Dennis came to me one day and said, hey, let's try this, and I think it'll shorten up your swing a little bit.
God.
Oh, no.
How's that for your tape?
That's got to be a fur.
Hey, this is a real beach scene here, isn't it?
You bring some of these out of the woodwork, don't you?
Don't go away.
As a teenager, you also make decisions too.
Obviously, start one more time.
It tends to create more or less offense as per se. I don't know.
You got to give me a hint on some of these things before you drop these on me, you know?
This is a good question.
I couldn't answer that if I thought about it for a week.
That's not good preparation there, son. You have to prepare yourself if you're going to ask me a question. We can turn this into a blooper tape.
Don't go away. This Week in Baseball will be right back.
Wrong again. We're staying put to get on the ball with the DH debate. 12 years ago, the American League began using the designated hitter, a player who bats for the pitcher all game long without playing in the field. Ever since Ron Blomberg of the Yankees became the first DH in 1973, fans have debated the designated hitter. And while the National League has not adopted the rule, the debate continues among players in both leagues.
Well, I'm a traditionalist. I believe that the 9 players should play offense and defense. I think it gives the manager more to work with. The fans can become more involved simply by, well, is he going to bunt? Isn't he going to bunt? What's the situation here? And I truly believe that that's the backbone of the game.
It's a change. It's a mark of progress within the old traditional game of baseball, and I think it's good for the game. I think it adds a little more excitement. About the only thing it does eliminate is an automatic out from the pitcher or the sacrifice bunt. But I think fans would rather see hitters hit, so in that respect, I think the DH is a good rule.
I like the DH. I think it's exciting for the game. I haven't really thought much about it, but hey, I don't want to see Don Baylor, you know, a guy like that out, or a guy that can play a few years. I think there's some exciting hitters out there that may not be able to play the field, their last few years, but they can still hit. They can still do some things that are exciting to fans and hit the ball at the ballpark. I think we need to leave it in.
Heavy hitters like Dave Kingman of the Oakland A's and California's Reggie Jackson feel the DH has helped their careers.
I love it. It enables me to stay strong all year long. And last year was my first year in the American League, and had great success with it. And I'm towards the end of my career now, and hopefully they'll keep it for at least a couple more years.
It's helped me stay in the game, although I have not been a very successful DH. I've had a lot more success playing.
My vote for the DH, it would be no. Remove the DH and see what happens. The best player go out and win a job. If that means me losing a job, so be it.
It's going to help you score more runs. I think it's a proven fact that the American League does score a few more runs.
There's a serious statistical imbalance between the American League and the National League. I think all of your statistics that you see daily in the paper when comparing the National League to the American League, in the American League are inflated. They're all higher. They're all better. They hit for higher batting averages. They drive in more runs. They hit more home runs. And that's because in the American League, they generally get 3, in most cases 4 at-bats against the starting pitcher. Take me, for example. I face, in most cases, the starting pitcher twice a game. Then I face a middle reliever, and then I face a stopper. That's why in the National League, the batting averages are down, the RBIs are down, the home runs are down, because it's tougher to hit.
Interesting analysis. Still, another side of the issue centers around the pitcher, who no longer bats under the DH rule.
Baseball isn't baseball unless the pitcher gets to hit. That's the way I've always played. This is going to be a new experience for me, not even being able to get up and hit. I always worked hard and prided myself in being able to bunt, be a good sacrifice bunter so I could help my team. I'd like to see the pitchers back as far as hitting.
I like the DH. It gives me time to, go back on the bench and sit down and think of what I did the last inning, and, I don't have to worry about going up there and hitting. I don't mind it at all.
No doubt skippers in the American League manage differently than their National League counterparts, especially when it comes to strategy time in the late innings of a nip-and-tuck ball game.
The DH takes out the major decision a manager has to make in the course of a game. You're losing in the 5th or 6th innings by a run, even if the guy might be pitching a 2-hitter, he's got to be pinch hit for. You ask Chuck Tanner, he's managing both leagues.
I like to see the game of baseball played, and I think the game of baseball is played with 9 men, including the pitcher.
I want to see guys out there that can hit and catch and swing the bat
I don't want to see pitchers whose job is pitching to swing the bat.
Well, DH or no DH, the great debate continues. What do you think? Now it's time for an Old Spice salute, brought to you by 24-hour strong Old Spice deodorant and antiperspirant. This week, Old Spice salutes Carmelo Martinez of San Diego. In his first game back from injury, Martinez thrilled a record crowd at the Padre home opener with his first home run of the year. A mere appetizer, though, because in the 7th inning, Martinez belted a grand slam, the first of his career, to overwhelm San Francisco with 5 RBIs in the game. Congratulations, Carmelo. That's all for now, folks. See you next week on This Week in Baseball.